Or otherwise, what are you trying to normalize that you should be challenging? Because we see oftentimes pharmacists tend to normalize what they should be challenging. And once you begin to normalize what you should challenge, you begin to create a culture that you are not that does not reflect your true nature. So excellence is not just in the performance or in a performance or in a moment. It is habitual. Excellence is in the habit built over time, beginning with the private space and then manifesting in the public space. And then it can become a culture. And of course, as Man of Honor reminds us, that leadership is not about position. It is about the burden to see change happen. It's about the desire to be part of a change, a positive change. Leadership is about seeing where there is a need and taking up that burden to meet that need. And it begins with ourselves. So what it means is that we cannot lead other people if we cannot lead ourselves. If we cannot lead our appetites, if we cannot lead our anger, our ambitions, how can we lead others? As Men of Honor reminds us also that there are some great attributes of leaders. That the greatest of leaders are men who have been able to master their emotions, people who are able to confront their fears, those who have been able to make sacrifices that sacrifice comfort, so to speak, for a cause that they feel compelled about. Men who have and women who have chosen service over self-aggrandizement, over accolades. I mean, accolades are good, but when we begin to sacrifice impact for celebrations, for recognitions, sometimes we come to PSN meetings and we spend half of the time trying to recognize people, and then you forget to put a PhD in somebody's name, and it's a big deal. When did we get that low? These are the pharmacists who have refused to look at impact, look at leadership through the right metrics. Great leaders do not dispense corruption. They refuse to partner with mediocrity. And they refuse to be silent when truth is at stake. That's what pharmacy represents. That's the expectation. So leadership is not about titles, can never be, has never been. If anything, it's probably about the tears that you are willing to shed for your people when nobody is clapping for you. It's about the burden that you are able to take up and to sponsor to make a change without minding, whether anybody is going to reimburse you or not. So when we begin to lose sight of values, when we begin to lose sight of service and the impact, then we begin to create a culture that we don't want to be part of. So culture is not what we say, can never be what we say. It is what we do, but beyond what we do is actually what we allow. Because everything you allow grows. And so every time you see an unethical practice and you do nothing about it, you're building a culture. Every time you you are tempted to cut corners and you look around, there is no camera watching, and you actually cut corners, you are sending a message to the next generation that this is the way to go. Is a bad precedent. So the culture of our profession is not going to be built in the moment. It's only when we think that people are watching us. No, the cultures tend to be built when no one is actually watching you. And so the leader within you as a pharmacist is the you that you are when your boss is not there. Is the you that you are when nobody else. And we must raise a new culture for pharmacy in Nigeria. And this new culture that we need to raise must be a culture of accountability, where no one, regardless of their position, regardless of their age, regardless of their accolade, is above correction. We must begin to raise a culture of integrity where we are compelled to keep our words, even when the cost is enormous. The time has come, and the demand for now is for us to build a culture of excellence where we don't give our customers or our patients leftovers. Where we don't see somebody change the expiration date and we pretend as if we didn't see. Where the trust that the people had or have always had on pharmacy and the pharmacy profession is restored. Today, people build a solid foundation for them to rise way above where we are. So we're not going to become people of honor by age. No. It is by stage. And I can tell you there are so many people that you respect who have not reached that stage. There are people who are called honorables, but they are actually should be called dishonorable people. Or how do you explain that somebody is called honorable and is involved in dishonorable things? So you become one by the sacrifices you're willing to make. Literally, figuratively, I would say by the blood that you're really willing to share for the values that you represent. So the question would now be, what kind of culture are we building around ourselves on a daily basis, and how will pharmacy remember us when we are gone? These kind of questions are supposed to be resonating in our minds as we go through this series. So for me, it is not really time for a lot of speeches. Even though I'm looking at my time, I'm going to keep it under 30 minutes so that way we'll be able to have some interaction. But I think it is time for us to begin to pay so much attention to how we can raise a generation of pharmacists who are on board, who are unbent, who are unbroken, a generation of pharmacists who are confident to take the profession to the next, who are proud of the profession they chose. It is time for us to begin to build a generation of people, of pharmacists who are bold enough, because pharmacy for a fact is too sacred to be left for cowards. Too sacred. And so, as we go through this series, this presentation tonight, I want you to reflect. reflect on who you are becoming as a pharmacist or as a young pharmacist. And I want you to recommit to leading wherever you are without excuses. We can either make excuses or make progress. We can either make excuses or lead transformation. But not the two. And I also want you to respond, by either asking questions or deciding on what you're going to do different tomorrow morning. Because reality is that your degree makes you a pharmacist. Thank God for you. But it is your decision that makes you a leader, not your degree. Does that make sense? Am I making sense so far?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let me see if there's any question real quick before I continue to okay, so no questions so far. Good. All right. So with that background, let me tease it all a little apart real quickly. I'm looking at my time, so that within the next 12 minutes, I should be able to tease it a little bit apart, and then we can have some interaction. So I have already said again from the book, As Men of Honor. That's my reference for tonight. We have seen that every profession is only as strong as personal leadership of those who practice. So, you as a pharmacist, how are you contributing to the strength of the profession through your personal leadership? We have already alluded that the leadership, there is a leadership crisis in pharmacy. We have suggested that already, and I'm happy to have any debate, public debate with anybody who disagrees. And in As Men of Honor, we speak of calling, we speak of character, and we speak of courage. We argue that that those three pillars are very important for leadership to rest upon within pharmacy. And so, as a pharmacist that wants to be a leader, wants to show strong leadership, you must have these three things going for you: a sense of calling within that space, the character that is required, and the courage to stand up for what you believe against all odds, regardless of who doesn't agree with you. And I have already said very clearly that our problem is not these other people that we're looking at. It is us. And so the greatest challenge of the courage in leadership for a pharmacist will come from pharmacists. And this is us calling it what it is. Because pharmacists are gonna be, when you want to stand up for what is right, the other people are going to think, oh, what is he coming out for? What is he trying to contest? He's trying to make it look good so that we can look bad. And they could do all kinds of nonsense to dissuade you. So you have to have the character and the conviction of a calling within that space to be able to stand against all odds. And we all know that pharmacy has trained thousands of very brilliant people. Yet, we have failed to raise enough honorable men and women, people of vision, of sacrificial service, and of moral courage. It tends to be that every service that our people are trying to render is geared towards something that they will get. Some people want to be something so that they can become something else. That is not the spirit of leadership. Or so that we can celebrate them and recognize them in meetings. That is not the spirit of leadership. It has to be sacrificial. And of course, we all know that pharmacy profession is on the front line of health system. So a pharmacist who would be a leader within within the health system must begin with the pharmacist. And a pharmacist who is not willing to be a leader within the health system cannot really exhibit at full potential. So expectations from the pharmacy in this age, our age, like I said, at the age of skyrocketing antimicrobial resistance, the age of overburdening fake medications and counterfeit drugs, poor health literacy, an age of weak regulation, the expectations of pharmacy are enormous. And there is a question I asked as men of honor. If indeed we are men of honor, and if indeed we say as men of honor we join hands, how come when you ask Professor Google what percentage of drugs in Nigeria are fake, counterfeit, or substandard, you will see 60%, 70%, 80%. So let us even agree it's 50%. So how many of those came in without a pharmacist license or a pharmacist signing up on it? How many of it is not associated with a company which has a pharmacist associated either in the board or even at the helm of it? So how come, if we are men and women of honor? We need to think about that. So regardless, not minding the expectation of the professions or of the health system on the pharmacist, we tend to respond not with clarity, not with answers, not with unity even, not with well-defined and thought-out strategy. Oftentimes, maybe we respond with silence. We default to self-preservation. And in fact, in other cases, we decline to internal rivalry, stupid internal rivalry, unnecessary and unprofessional internal rivalry. A profession that lacks a strong leadership, especially a leadership culture, is not just going to be vulnerable. It is going to be replaceable in the next generation. That's one of the warnings that we have from as men of honor. So one question, reflective question, a few reflective questions that I documented from as men of honor is: who are you waiting to lead? Who else are you waiting to start showing leadership in pharmacy? Do you protect the honor of your profession when no one is watching you? And what will pharmacy look like 10 years from now if everybody leads the way you are leading? Or if everybody approaches pharmacy the way you are approaching it right now? So you must start with you yourself. The first person to lead, you must lead is you. As man of honor says, that self-leadership is the beginning of greatness. So, and of course, we already have said it a couple of times here now, that leadership has nothing to do with your title, but everything with your alignment with your values, with your vision, with your voice, and manifested in your daily habits, in your daily routines, in what you are known for, in what the people see you doing, or even don't see you doing, or what you do when the camera is not watching. And 5 core traits of the pharmacist leader were that I identified as men of honor. They value integrity over popularity. They value competence over complacency. They value initiative over indifference. They value sacrifice and they value service. Very important. And then, of course, legacy is built by these things. Legacy is built in daily disciplines, This legacy is built through excellence, manifested in our daily routines. So the young pharmacist who keeps quiet when patients are treated in the pharmacy that he or she is working is already eroding the profession. Is already ignoring the tenets of the oath. The young pharmacist who did not ask, why did we give that instead of this? When he or she believes that